Hi, this is Henk, and welcome to another edition of the Skull Sessions. And today, my guest is somebody I've known for a long time. I think I tattooed you in like 2011. So it is Craig Holloway.
Hey. Actually, I think it was earlier than 2011.
A little while, yeah.
Yeah, I think close to 20 years, closer to 20 years.
Yeah, a little while, yeah. So, all right, man. So, I know you like mostly you do commercial art now. Is that correct? But you've done like a lot of like album covers for stuff like Agnostic Front and like I don't know if you did Madball, but I know a bunch of those bands. So let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, my day job, my primary job income came from doing storyboards, and I've been doing that since 97. So it's been a while, but I actually just got a Dear John letter from my reps who I've been working with for almost 30 years. Told me that the COVID has they never been able to recoup from the COVID, and they're trying not to close doors, but it looks like I'm gonna have to start fending for myself. So that's kind of a brutal reality for me.
This year, our current employer.
Yeah, yep. They based it on jobs or companies were kind of merging together and downsizing, restructuring, and AI. AI has really put a damper in my the need for my work. So that's brutal.
I remember it got a little bit slow in this, and you were thinking about tattooing. So we were getting an apprentice with the shop, and then it got busy for you again. So you went back to it.
Yep. Guess what?
Yeah.
I'm apprenticing again.
Are you really?
Yeah. Yep.
Who are you
Yep.
apprenticing with?
Uh, I'm working with Tye Harris shop
Okay.
over in Kyle. It's called Faces in the Dark.
Okay.
Yes, right around the corner. It's perfect. Really nice studio.
Okay. Awesome. Um, I I'm pretty familiar with almost everybody in the industry. I think I know the name, but my memory isn't the greatest. So but it rings bells.
Sure.
So,
He's a black and gray realism guy.
okay,
Yeah.
awesome. Um, so what else have you been up to? Like what's been your career path so far?
Well, now I'm just trying to figure it out, but I've always I've never been able to kind of like shake off the desire to want to tattoo. And honestly, I'm more attracted to tattoo art than almost any other form of art, no matter what the medium is. It fascinates me. So I'm busy trying to learn that, absorb as much information as possible. I'm still doing the band stuff. I'm doing some side work, commission work for like a lot of horror related stuff. Like right now, I'm working on a convention poster for a friend. It's probably like the fifth or sixth year we've been doing it, maybe more. And I got hit up by another friend who introduced me to a guy, director for a film, who's working on a picture with a demon in it. And I'm getting to help create the look of the demon, which is pretty fun. And then I'm doing a lot of toy designs. I got connections for doing bobbleheads. So I've done quite a few bobbleheads for
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
punk and hardcore and bands. And now I got a whole another line with another buddy who's focusing on more like rockabilly, psychobilly characters because he's in that's his genre of music. He plays in the Coffin Cats, same as Eric, and he's been giving me all kinds of guys to draw up. So that's pretty cool. That keeps me out of trouble.
Okay, cool. When did like people hate when you say this, like when did you start drawing? But when were you like this is what I'm gonna do. This is gonna be my profession.
Oh, well, I was like drawing since day one, since I could hold a pencil. I mean, preschool. I would watch
That's
like
why I hate to ask. It's like I figure that's like a stupid question. It's like, when did you first start writing? When did you
some
first start drawing? It's like, Dick,
yeah.
calm
Well,
down.
some people learn later in life,
Yeah.
but I think I did it because it was an inexpensive way to entertain myself, and I could be creative. And then once people kind of see that you can do certain things that kind of motivates you, inspires you to get better, so it just kind of snowballs from there. But it's always been, a bit of a daydreamer, kind of an introvert, and it's just perfect for me just to sit down and draw. I've been
Okay.
doing forever.
Out of high school, did you go to art school or a college or anything?
I took every art class I could get in school, elementary, middle school, high school, and then even college. The college, I knew by the time I got to college, I wanted to be an artist. And unfortunately, my dad and my mom were like, they're sure, go for it, do it. They were nice enough to pay for my college at Wayne State University in Detroit. And then I had a graphic designs major, but it kind of was basically a waste of time. I was never really able to utilize that. Even and when I was in the class, when computers were starting to get popular, the instructor who was the head of the department was like anti-computers. It was like we spent a whole semester just hand rendering our name. They're like, oh my god, it's such a waste of money. And needless to say, the computers have taken over. But yeah, that I've always wanted to draw. It's just a matter of how am I going to make a living drawing. Unfortunately, I got an internship at a advertising agency while I was in college. It's called J. Walter Thompson, and I went in there and basically I was in the mat room, mounting up stuff for presentation for the clients and stuff like that. And somebody got wind that I could draw, so I started helping out some of the art directors with some of the layouts. And then they hired me on as a junior art director, and then never saw myself as an ad man, but it was creative and it was cool because my friends were doing it, and I wanted to keep up with the Joneses, and it was kind of exciting. But then after I did that for a couple of years, I decided I wanted to move to California, just to change of pace. I was probably about 25 years old, and my roommate at the time, he moved too. He moved back shortly after, and I stayed out in California for the 10 years or so. That's where I met my wife, and we had a family, and eventually we moved to Texas in '05. But as far as my best art education training goes, just from practicing all the time, would be I had a local art store in my neighborhood in Livonia called Art Store More. And the guy that owned the store, his name was Dave Messing. And he would have classes in the back of the store. Whoever wanted to, whatever you wanted to draw, he'd help you out. And he was super artistic, super creative. And what was cool about him compared to my other instructors was he says, draw what you want to draw what you like, go for it. There's no, now you need to draw this, bowl of fruit. You need to learn perspective and shading and all that stuff. Fortunately, I'd already learned all that stuff or got a good handle on it. And he just let me do whatever I wanted, which is great. And then he'd show me how to make it better. And he was cool.
Were some of your sorry to interject, but were some of your art teachers like kind of like I want this exactly, and like you like if you deviated from their initial premise even a little bit, they're like you didn't do what I said.
Yeah, you get that. If you're trying to, put your spin on it or trying to be a little bit creative, if they're not, drinking from the same Kool-Aid, they're like, this is not what I asked for. You know what I
I
mean?
don't know, I felt like maybe you encountered this too, but I felt like I took advanced art classes in high school, and I felt like the teachers there were failed artists who like they're teaching because they feel. So I remember the guy was a douchebag, and like he would always give me like low grades because he hated horror, and but I remember he like we had to do stuff for like local advertising agencies. So, he wanted to show us, like, well, look, this is what I drew. So he put it up on the projector, and it was fucking crap. And I didn't hold my tongue, tell him it was crap either. I ended up getting kicked out of his class, and the next art class was like an old lady and like a straight A's. And then when I went to art school, I had a great fucking teacher, in college. But yeah, I've encountered people. You probably encountered people like that too.
Yeah, lame assignments for sure. Oh, yeah. So yeah, so he was the best instructor I ever had, and it was cool because later when I became an art director, we did some photo shoots and we needed some props made, and he went into the prop making business. He was so talented, like he made us an ATM machine and super. I mean, and overnight, and we make it so fast, and it looked perfect, like scratch off lottery cards. He could do it all. He was super creative. But yeah, that was my best background education, and just being around other creative people. I always kind of like feed off of you know their energy and learn from them. And I like certain artists. Some of my favorite artists will probably be Basil Gogos for his color, the famous Monsters guy. Bernie
Yeah,
Rice,
he's awesome. Bernie
Bernie,
Wrightson's awesome too.
yeah, his
And
black and
Bernie
white.
Wrightson didn't go to like an official art college. So like, I just want to let everyone know that like you don't have to go to an official art college. You have to dedicate yourself, but you don't have to go to like the 4 year degree, whatever college.
I agree 100%. Actually, I think my college was a waste of time for me. So yeah, if there was a trade school, I'd recommend the trade school.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think one of my favorite, Frank Frazetta, he went to like a trade school in Brooklyn. I mean, look how that guy turned out. He's amazing.
Oh, not too shabby. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah,
And one of my other famous artists that I really like is Jack Davis. He's the guy that did a
yeah, I
lot
know he is.
of,
Yeah.
yo, he's my favorite because I like him because he likes to do horror too, but he throws in some elements of humor, and I
Probably any
that.
artist you bring up, I'll recognize. I don't know if our audience will, but
Hopefully.
yeah. So I was gonna say, unfortunately, you probably, yeah, it's probably a good thing that you made this evolutionary career, but if you stayed in Detroit, one of the best shops for like all the great people that are coming out, in like the 90s and early 2000s were in Detroit. So Tran Blocker owned Eternal Tattoos, like he now owns Eternal Tattoo Supply, but like Bob Terrell came in there, Tom Renshaw, like all these amazing artists came out of there.
Jay Wheeler, yeah,
Oh yeah, Jay Wheeler, whole like I can't even name all them. And some of them like he's a really nice guy. And like some of them they still work for him or they bought a shop from him. But they still want to keep the name on it because like it's like the
yeah,
eternal name, and he's a well-known nice guy.
yeah. Well, it's funny you should say that. Well, I lived in Livonia, and it was like 3 miles from Eternal, so really close. And when I was in Cole's life back in the day, we would practice at this guy's name, Donnie Cox. He had a house, and we rented it, that we just jammed there. And he was a tattoo artist at Eternal. And by this time, the guys in the band knew I liked to draw because I was always drawing the flowers and the shirts. And they're like, "Yeah, you should get some tattoo equipment." And I go, "Oh yeah, okay." And then if I do that, well, how am I going to learn basically? So I asked him if I could apprentice with him, and he didn't say no, but he did say it was a lot different than drawing. And then this, I was probably like 19, 20. And then my sister, I blame my sister, but she was in law enforcement. And then once I told her that I was going to work out of Eternal, she said, "Oh, you don't want to go there," because it had a bad reputation and all that. It was like, oh man, she was getting into law
Well,
enforcement.
tattoos period did like
Huh?
bite tattoos period. It's like bikers and junkies and
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's it's getting better nowadays, but yeah,
oh yeah,
I
yeah.
always look back and go, "Oh, if I would have just dug my heels in back then, I would."
They have a joke meme and it has like a picture of a guy and it says with the neck tattoo. It says neck tattoos used to mean I'm a bad motherfucker, stay away. Now they mean let me read you my vegan poetry.
So true. Yo, it's amazing. You see, I mean, I was drawing storyboards for like commercials, and then people were asking me to add tattoos to some of the people in the commercials. It's getting pretty
It's
common.
in big, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the good thing I would say that you have going for you, definitely is one like I moved to New York to be a comic artist, and I'm so glad I didn't do it because like I interview a lot of them for the podcast, like people that really inspired me, like Steve Bissett or like Walter Simonson. And, they teach at art schools because Marvel kept all the rights, so they're like famous artists who had a whole career of doing amazing work and now like they have to work to pay their rent when they're like in their 60s. It's sad, but so
Yeah.
I moved there and I started tattooing, and I remember it only been legalized like a year earlier.
All right.
So like a lot of like what people had in mind for tattoos was like those old school designs, like and I remember a lot of the people who did that they were really mad if you did like more developed artwork. They're like, "Oh, what, you think you're an artist?" It's like, well, actually, I do. But yeah, they're all gone now. It's like now, like you said, the industry looked on differently. Like I think they say like if you're under 36, like 80 something percent of the population is tattooed.
I believe.
So and now people they like the old school people that were pretty good. You look at them now, most people look at them now and they're like, oh, what's that crap? Yeah, you know. So one, I think you're getting in the right time to be an artist. The other thing I was gonna say is because you were so strong in like storyboard designs and like advertising designs, like so that tightness really translates to tattooing. Like when I started tattooing, it was kind of like the Wild West as far as like what works, what doesn't work, what stays in the skin, what doesn't stay in the skin. But now we've had like 20 something years of like super realistic tattoos to kind of see how it works out. And what works out the best that I found is that kind of illustrator style. So it's like if you look at like comic books, like they do it like it's a little more high contrast. It has like sharp lines around it. It's supposed to be like when things are close to you, they have like fatter lines. When things are like further from you, they have like thinner lines. So that kind of stuff really holds up in the skin over time. And I've seen it firsthand. Like like I came out of art school and I was used to doing oil paintings, so I was trying to do oil paintings on skin, and they look amazing, and then 5 years later they just start to fall apart because different colors fade differently in the skin, and since you have this whole like smooth blend, once some of the colors fade it just kind of falls apart. So it'd be very hit or miss. Like maybe the colors, they all fade at the same rate, maybe they fade differently. So yeah, but I think a lot of people work that out by now. Like it's been like more than 2 decades since I started. So my point was, I think you're entering at the right period in time, and I think that by doing all the like ad work and storyboards and stuff like that, you have a very like strong illustrative background, which really translates to tattoos.
Perfect. That's what I'm hoping.
and,
Yeah.
and I think the thing I because I have apprentices now, and what I've noticed with my apprentices is like I hammer this down on them. I'm like, you know, two of them are like more realism, and one's more like that, like Frank Miller style, like
Oh wow.
I'm like, what you really need to do with tattoos is like smooth, clean lines and pack in solid color. And if you do that, people will be blown. If you have good art, people will be blown away.
Agreed.
So,
Yes.
all right, give it. And by the way, you can feel free to email me or text me and ask me questions about it
Oh, cool. I
because
will for
I
sure.
have like 25 years of doing all the right thing and wrong things in the industry. But let's get back to you drawing for a minute. So, what got you hooked up with all the bands?
Oh, being in a band, you meet musicians, and then what really kind of like accelerated my awareness with other bands is MySpace. Actually,
I
I,
remember MySpace. Yeah.
yeah. Well, I just moved to Texas. I think this is like 2005, 2006 ish. Just settling into our new home, and my wife Rose is like, "Ah, you should get a MySpace page." I'm like, I don't think so.
By the way, tell her to say hello.
I will for sure. I said, I don't think so. I don't know if I'm like not like I'm not going back to my high school reunions and stuff like that. That's kind of what I felt it was going to be like. Nothing against the school I went to or the people I went to school with. I just kind of moved on. But she's like, well, a lot of bands put on their own MySpace page. I go, oh, really? Not thinking anything that I would like, being a snob, I guess. She goes, well, give me a couple band names and I'll see if they have a MySpace page. So I said, I think I said like the Crumbsuckers or Leeway or
Right,
Agnostic Front.
right,
And sure enough, they had
right. Because it's free,
MySpace
that's
page.
why. Yeah.
So like, oh, eating crow here. So I put on a MySpace page and then did some flyers for a buddy's band. I was kind of like, living under a rock. I had a buddy, his name's Beast. He's in a band called Hate Inc. And they had a show at CBGB's, and they're in Detroit. And he's like, hey, could you do a flyer for the show? And I, yeah, for sure. That'd be great. But who's going to pass these out? Are you going to drive to New York and pass these out? Thinking you're going to staple them up to the telephone poles like we used to do. He goes, no, dummy. We have the internet now. We can do it online. So, like, oh, shit. I mean, I can use color even? He's like, duh. So once I did
Things
that,
have changed so much since those Black Flag days of like pacing.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So even though I'm working in the ad agency, it just didn't dawn on me. Uh, so we did some flyers, and then bands just started hitting me up through MySpace because they saw the artwork. So it's been cool. Got to work
Yeah.
with a lot of bands I really love that I thought I would never meet. Became friends with them. It's nice.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, I noticed like a lot of bands that I really liked, like bands don't know artists. Like they knew musicians, but they don't know artists. So like once you do something for one band, like a whole bunch of bands are like, hey, by the way,
Yeah.
so like like some of my idols, like I did artwork for Coalesce, I did artwork for Shia Lude, I did, for all these people that are like they're my favorites. You can talk to them like, oh yeah, man, we use artwork. I was like, fuck yeah.
It's great. Yeah. Yeah. It's a good way to promote yourself too.
Right.
Yeah. If they're like really great, just do it. Happy to do it for free. It's like just to get associated with certain bands. It's fun.
Well, one nice thing I've noticed is like probably if you just like pick something and like lock yourself into it, like if you only did storyboards or you only did, advertising ads, it's like you're kind of like isolated. But if you have like a wider community, so you're like, yeah, I do artwork for this, I do artwork for that. Like, it definitely translates. So, like, I was doing like a lot of art for bands, and then I started tattooing, and a lot of my first clients were all people that I did artwork for the bands.
All
Like,
right.
yeah, like Rachel from Indecision, she got like a half sleeve by me. In fact, I tattooed everyone in that band except for the singer. I gave Sean Ingram from Coalesce his first tattoo ever. You know, I remember one, not Matt Fox, but one of the Matts from Shy Halud kept like constantly hitting me up for a tattoo, then checking me out. Yeah. But the thing is, I'm just saying, like, I think it all translates, just like doing, like being part of a community.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. It's good for sure. I like to continue to do more of that. And I like the fact that, if I do develop some skills as a tattoo artist, I can, keep my own schedule. Like that's what I liked about being a freelancer. You keep your own schedule, make your own hours, and you're flexible. And nowadays you can travel and continue to work. Like if I have to go on tour or if I have to go, record an album, I could just take my gear with me and hopefully find some
Do a
people.
guest spot at a local shop, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I do a convention down there in Austin. I do Killer Con every year, and I always do a guest spot at remember Keith Underwood, Austin Tattoo Company.
For sure.
So I always do a guest spot at his shop, and then I'll do Killer Con.
Oh, cool.
And
Cool,
I'm like,
cool.
it helps because Killer Con is like to sell my books and stuff. So it's like it's not a big money maker, but I want to go, and to cover all the expenses, all the traveling, the shipping, everything. I'm like, I'll do a guest spot in tattoo.
Yeah, that's great. For sure. Yeah, I haven't seen Keith in a while. I was at a convention and I saw his wife. I can't remember her name though. She's super sweet. I remember being working at the shop.
Kendall, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, she's cool. So what would you say are the bands like you might not remember all of them, but what bands have you done artwork for?
Oh, uh, quite a few. I'm gonna leave some out probably. Are you talking about like doing flyers or shirts or albums or just anything?
Well, you can name whatever, but let's start with the albums.
I did some agnostic front, Marauder. I did a negative approach. Some brick by brick. Um, I'm leaving some out. Uh, looking around the room for inspiration.
Looking
But I've
around,
worked.
see if you have a poster like somewhere.
Yeah, I got a bunch of artwork hanging up on the walls. I worked with Cockspar, Terror, Madball, uh, Obituary, Murphy's Law, Accused, Hoods. I did the album cover of Hoods, Stigma, mostly hardcore, some punk and some metal, but I think hardcore is probably the genre that I do most work for.
Okay. Yeah, I did most of my stuff for metalcore bands. Um,
Okay.
and I remember I talked to I talked to Megadeth, but the guy does Megadeth covers is so awesome. It's like, what chance do I have?
Repka? Oh yeah,
Yeah, he's awesome. Yeah.
yeah.
And I remember I talked to Obituary about something else, like after Monica died. And it's like, one of the last shows that me and Monica saw together was the Obituary reunion show with BB King's. And like they were so good. I was like, I'm just gonna like I don't know them. They're pretty big. I was just what does it hurt to ask them? So I asked them if they would play her memorial show, and they actually got back to me and they're like, "Hey man, we're in tour in Europe, and I want you to play." I was like, "Oh, that's awesome! It's awesome they at least replied."
Right. Yeah. Well, one funny story I have is a full circle story. Full Circle is the name of the band I was in at the time. This is like the mid '80s, and we went up to see Agnostic Front play. They were playing at this place called Blondie's in Detroit, and the guitar player and I, his name is Jeff Postma. We were out putting our flyer for our very first show on all the car windshields, and we put one on AF's van, and then Freddie was with him. He was only 12 at the time, and he looked at it. He liked the artwork, so he showed Stigma, and then they approached me about drawing some art for Agnostic Front. And me, I was probably 16. I go, oh yeah, for sure, that'd be exciting, super cool. And then they gave me the address. He gave me his address on Mott Avenue. Went home and I wrote him a letter on the old school, envelopes and drew up some wacky characters on the envelope, and I mailed it to him, but I never heard back from him. I'm like, crap. I never thought to write him again or try and track him down. I just thought, oh, maybe they lost interest or they found somebody better. And then years go by, and then like,
I think they're just all like so busy they just forget.
yeah. So like 20 years later, I get a call from Roger, and he needed artwork for the Warriors album. He didn't no idea about what had transpired 20 years earlier. But it's funny because full circle, he came back and was able to work with them, and they were in a pinch for they needed art like in 3 days, so they just had an album cover title. So I just did some rough sketches, and then they I think I did like 6 or 7, and he picked the one and just took it to finish. And then after I finished it, he's like, "Do you mind doing the inside CD, the layout, the typesetting, and the photos?" And yeah, sure, no problem.
Oh,
So
it's awesome. Yeah.
yeah, it was exciting. I developed a good friendship with those guys, and when they started
Was
touring,
that the first like big metalcore band you covered
big-
for? Was AF?
the biggest, yeah, I would say the biggest, yeah, that got me a lot of attention for sure. Yeah, and I've done like a lot of Meatmen work, and did an album
I,
cover Nuclear Assault.
I've seen. I'm old, but I've seen the Meatmen live a bunch of
Yeah,
times.
you're fortunate. They're awesome. Yeah,
I've seen a whole bunch of bands that have like since broken up, or like I don't even know if they're still around. Like I saw the Dwarves back in the day. I don't even
yeah,
know if the
right.
Dwarves are still around.
Oh
I
yeah,
saw
I just
L7 a whole shitload of times. I kind of had a crush on the bassist, but
oh the L7.
yeah,
Yeah, I just saw Jennifer at the Punk Rock Museum about a month ago.
no, awesome.
Yeah, but that's cool. Yeah, I did some artwork for the Dwarves, and they're using it as their profile pic right now, which is really cool. They had a show at Emo's probably about 15 years ago, and I drew a picture. They go through a lot of lineup changes, so I drew a cartoon with all the guys that I could find and all the girls, and they liked it, so they're still rocking it. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, no, they're awesome. I remember, so either first album, Blood, Guts, and Pussy, like I thought it was awesome. I'd be playing it in my car, and there's this girl I was dating at the time, and one of their songs is just like fuck, 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 fuck. She's like, that song, I hate this song. Turn this off. So, being the obnoxious little kid I was, like, I turned it up.
Oh yeah, put it on repeat.
Yeah, but as far as like bands like not remembering, not getting back a hold of you, like that happened with me. That happened to me a lot. Like I remember Institution, I first showed myself and they loved it, and like I met them at a diner. They all wanted me to come meet them in a diner in Bayshore, and they're like, "You're gonna be like the Raymond Pettibon for our band." Raymond Pettibon, for those who don't know, is like the famous artist for Black Flag. And I was like, "Oh, that's awesome." And then, they go on tour and I wouldn't hear from them for 6 months. And then it's like, all right, man, can you draw this real quick? We did this for a shirt. So I like being out of shirt, and then they'd be like, "Oh, we have a new singer, and he says it's kind of the concept of the last album. Can you do another shirt?" Yeah, it would be like 'cause, I mean they're all like teenagers, they're like or kids in their 20s, so
Right.
they're a little bit indecisive on that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. That can be tough when there's too many chefs in the kitchen.
Yeah, it's like I feel like with Shy Halud, like I was all excited. They were one of my favorite bands, and at the time, and I was like, I did an album cover for them, and I didn't even have a computer, so I went to the Strand bookstore and I got medical books so I could realistically draw like organs, and they wanted like a chest cracking open so you see the heart is like bursting full of light. So I spent like 60 hours doing this super realistic oil painting. And they go, "Oh, we just got a new singer, and he says that's the concept of the last album. Can you do a new painting for us?" Like,
Oh,
motherfucker. So then I'm doing a new painting for them, and then because they're kids, so like the label, and they just got signed, to Relapse Records, and Relapse is like, "Oh well, um, if you do oil paintings is more of like a metal album thing. You're a metalcore, so it's more of like digital artwork is a big thing. So you should go with
really?
the digital artist." Yeah, it's like
Wow.
in the end, I did a whole bunch of paintings for them and never got a cent, and they use it on like off stuff like hoodies and stuff. They use them down, but it is what it is.
Yeah, that's one thing tough about working with bands and I being in a band I can vouch. Bands don't really have art money. You know what I mean? Money aside for artwork. There's kind of like sometimes they're like, oh, it's a privilege for you to be working with us, so enjoy. I've
Have
actually had bands
they actually said that to you?
no, but I've had bands say, we don't pay for artwork. All right. I didn't ask you to, but not really motivated right now. Just because of the attitude. But I mean, yeah, do what you can. I mean, I do a lot of this artwork because I like it. You know, it's because it's fun,
Yeah.
it's entertaining.
I do a lot of artwork for like I do all the covers for Punk, which is like it's like a horror magazine. And so far they have I think 12 issues out. They put out like 5 books, and I did 4 of the covers. You
Wait,
know, and even when they offered to pay me, I'm like, all right. And then I never pursue it, so they don't email me or mail me a check or anything. But I'm like, whatever. I'm just it's cool. It's horror stuff.
yeah.
I don't have to pay the rent with it. So, but I think that goes a long ways.
I got you. Actually, let me do a little promo from my buddy. He's got a horror related business called Paul Bear Press, and he
Okay.
started out doing T-shirts and stuff, but then he's transferred over doing some monster stuff. I don't know if you can see this shelf up here, but
Yeah.
all these are boxes, and I've done all the artwork on the boxes, which is really cool for me. Can you see these?
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
So yeah, these are fun. So there's like we got over like 2 dozen. So
Okay.
even did Ralphus from Bloodsucking Freaks.
Oh, awesome. Are they doing well?
Yeah, they're limited. Like he'll make 100 of them, and they're
Okay. Does
not.
he have like a website?
Yeah, he does. PaulBearerPress.com.
Okay, and you can go there and like look at what he has and order
Yeah.
it.
So a lot of them sell out. He works with the guy from Distinctive Dummies. Are you familiar with that company?
No.
Oh, they specialize in these boutique style figures, and some of them get pretty pricey on eBay.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah,
Well, awesome. Not for him because people already bought them. So,
right.
but it's awesome it reached like that level. Like people want them that much.
Yeah. And then there's those people like the people that do Mondo posters, like they'll just buy them so they can just gouge people on the internet that
Yeah,
triple the price.
it sucks. And some of them like you'll be like, "Oh, that's awesome. You want what for it?" All
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
But I try and like get in early. Like I don't know, there are a couple of different like kind of companies like Mondo. So I've got like some cool stuff for like Mad Max Fury Road and stuff like that. But it's like you got to buy it right away because it's gone. Once it's gone, it's gone.
yeah. Yeah, it could get pretty expensive.
Yeah, yeah. So, all right, so we'll wrap this up, Craig. If people want to get a hold of you to like ask you about like doing album cover artwork, and by the way, you should pay them. But you know, should they email you? Is that the best way?
Yeah, you can email me or hit me up on Facebook or Instagram. That's probably
Okay. Um, Tell everyone what your email is because there are people that can be listening to this not saying it.
okay. Craig, Craig 5846 at gmail.com.
Okay.
Yep.
Awesome. And do you have a website?
Nah, I'm not yet really. I'm gonna have to do that now, considering my new situation. But I will have that probably
Well,
by
you can probably like if you go to WordPress, like you can just make one and
yeah,
just yeah, I would say like it's good to have one period, but have one where you just have like a portfolio of all your art up there, and then when you start tattooing, you can make like a separate page for your
yeah,
tattoos, and that's
yeah.
like a mobile portfolio for you.
What's it called?
WordPress.
WordPress. Okay, I'll look into it.
So yeah, I think there are a couple, but I know a lot of people use that. Like the guy who built my website uses that. It's like a WordPress is a free app, and some people
Oh,
will get somebody who's like really good to like use WordPress to build them something really good on it.
I'd like to get one where I can have like a store where I can sell prints or
Yeah, that's what I
t-shirts.
have. Yeah,
Yeah.
there you. I don't know if on WordPress you can do it, but I know that you can sell prints on like if you're on DeviantArt like DeviantArt, but the thing is like you have to upgrade. I don't know what it costs to upgrade, but you have to upgrade. I think it's like $10 a month or whatever. But
Okay.
I'm on Fine Art America, which actually I find gets a lot of eyes on it, and you can sell through Fine Art America. So there are a couple of sites like ArtStation, Fine Art America, DeviantArt. But yeah, shoot me an email if you got any questions about it.
Okay. I will for sure. Appreciate it.
Okay. Do you have anything else you want to throw out there to the social media sphere?
No, not off the top of my head.
I don't know. Maybe like Elon Musk is listening to us. Yeah. All right,
Yeah.
Craig. Well, good to see you again. Definitely shoot me an email if you got any questions. And thanks for being on this.
All right, buddy. I appreciate it. Thanks, Dan.